The Connect app, a distraction-free space to connect, share and pray. Download today.
Scottish law threatens prayer rights. Scotland's new Abortion Services Act 2024 could make private prayer illegal within 200 meters of abortion clinics. Edinburgh residents were warned that actions, even from their homes, causing harassment, alarm, or distress to clinic staff or patients may lead to fines or prosecution, raising concerns. Silent prayer and religious activities are prohibited, with fines reaching £10,000 or more. Christian groups, like the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, are deeply worried, labeling the legislation as Orwellian. The Scottish government claims the law ensures safe access to healthcare, but critics argue it threatens religious freedom. With similar legislation soon to take effect in England and Wales, concerns over the criminalization of prayer and public expression continue to grow among pro-life advocates. In a time when prayer could be penalized, Christians are reminded of Daniel 6:10, when Daniel continued to pray despite legal threats. As these restrictions challenge believers, the call to stand firm in faith and pray for wisdom and protection remains vital, trusting in God's sovereignty over all situations.
Let us pray for the protection of religious freedoms in Scotland, that believers may courageously express their faith and continue to pray without fear of legal repercussions.
Thousands unite in prayer for America. Tens of thousands of evangelical Christians gathered in Washington, D.C. to pray for America's spiritual healing and divine intervention. Billed as "A Million Women," the event focused on interceding for the nation and seeking God's guidance in these uncertain times, viewing this as a pivotal moment for the country's future. Throughout the day, the gathering echoed with worship songs and prayers as believers lifted their hands in unison, calling on Jesus to intercede for the nation. Lou Engle, the event organizer, shared that he felt led by God in a dream to call women to pray for spiritual revival and to restore God's dominion over the land. Speakers emphasized the spiritual threats they believe are facing America, such as moral decline, the erosion of Christian values, and challenges to the biblical foundation of family and life. Many attendees expressed concerns over the influence of modern culture on children, and they wore shirts reading "Don't mess with our kids" as a stand for biblical principles. As the event concluded, the faithful left with a renewed sense of purpose, praying for the nation to return to Christ. Participants believe this time of prayer echoed 2 Chronicles 7:14. "If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray, I will heal their land," trusting that God's hand will guide the country's future.
Let us pray for spiritual healing in America as evangelical women unite in faith. Let us ask God for divine intervention to restore Christian values and protect families from cultural influences that threaten biblical principles.
Escalating tensions. U.S. military supports Israel. The U.S. has sent military personnel and a THAAD anti-missile system to Israel as concerns grow over potential retaliation from Iran. Israel's Prime Minister, Netanyahu, urged the removal of UN peacekeepers from southern Lebanon, following injuries to several by Israeli forces. Israeli forces launched heavy bombardments on southern Lebanon, destroying civilian areas including markets and mosques. As tensions rise, Israel targets Hezbollah positions, while Gaza witnesses rising casualties amid the ongoing Israeli offensive. Iran mourns its Arab neighbors against allowing Israel access to their airspace for potential strikes. Tehran claims retaliation for past attacks, while Israeli leaders promise a deadly, precise response to Iran's missile barrage, escalating regional tensions. As hostilities mount, the potential for widespread war against Israel looms large. The international community must heed these warnings, for the unfolding situation threatens not only regional stability, but the safety of countless lives caught in the crossfire.
Let us pray for peace in the Middle East amid escalating tensions. Let us look to God for divine protection over innocent lives affected by the conflict, and for wisdom among leaders to pursue diplomatic solutions.
Last church standing in Algeria. Only one church remains operational in Algeria, highlighting the alarming trend of increasing persecution against Christians in the country. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom's recent report reveals a harsh reality for Algerian believers, with many facing legal challenges simply for practicing their faith. Yernathan, an advocate for Christian rights, notes that an Algerian pastor has been wrongfully accused of threatening national security, solely for proclaiming his Christian faith. Despite his innocence, he faces the daunting reality of a legal system that seems to target Christians, suppressing their right to exist openly in Algeria. Numerous pastors are caught in a bureaucratic limbo, with many awaiting trial outcomes for years. Yernathan emphasizes that while these appeals are portrayed as a step toward religious diversity, they often serve to mask the government's oppressive stance toward minority faiths, revealing a troubling reality for Algerian Christians.
Let us look to the Lord for the persecuted Christians in Algeria, asking for their protection, strength, and perseverance. Let us seek the Lord's intervention for justice in their legal battles and freedom to practice their faith openly.
Sahara desert blooms after rare rainfall. A remarkable deluge of rainfall has created stunning blue lagoons amidst the palm trees and sand dunes of the Sahara Desert, bringing much-needed water to some of the driest regions. This rare weather event nourished areas that had seen little rain for decades. Stunning images emerged of water flowing through the Saharan sands, filling Lake Irikwi for the first time in several years. Residents and tourists alike marveled at the sight, with some locals noting that such heavy rain had not been seen in 30 to 50 years. While the rainfall has the potential to replenish vital groundwater aquifers and reservoirs, it also brought tragedy, leaving over 20 people dead and damaging crops. The government is now allocating emergency relief funds to aid affected communities as they hope for lasting change in the region's climate.
Let us thank the Lord for the refreshing rainfall in the Sahara region. May we also pray for the areas affected by the recent floods and for those who faced any loss.
Why we call it Ray of Hope? Because we believe prayer is that ray of hope in this dark world.